Hey, Professor Rosario. Before I begin, I want to explain why I didn't film at the location. The location I chose was a Islamic Center of Worship. It's right next to UC Davis. It's around 40 minutes away from the school. I did not film there because when I did there and I attended the worship and whatnot, after I was trying to film there, close to the location, I was sitting on the side of the building. The imam or the speaker or the one who leads prayer in the mosque, he came up to me and talked to me and asked me that I did not film there, and I asked why. He was very nice about it. He said that in the past there's been a lot of hate crimes toward their mosque. For example, a person broke like seven of their windows and kind of vandalized the mosque, and I guess somebody put like bacon around the external, like the door handle. And, Muslims aren't allowed to touch or eat pork, so a lot of hate crimes there. And then there's been a protest at the mosque. Uh, so after hearing this about the hate crimes, I didn't want to film on location out of respect for them, and I apologized to him. I was like, "Oh, sorry about that. I don't want to be disrespectful to you, so I'm not going to film here." He was really nice about it. So that is why I did not film at the location out of respect for them. So I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable with me having me there and filming. So I visited, as I mentioned, the Islamic Center of Worship right next to UC Davis. I visited on Sunday, September 23rd at 6:15 a.m. So talking about the architecture of the building, first off, when I was walking toward it, I saw a dome. So this dome was blue and it had a lot of geometric patterns and shapes connected toward the building. Um, Doing some research, and while I'll later talk about my interview, this symbolized, it's not really a ritual requirement, but it symbolized the significance with the mosque as a symbolic representation of the vault of heaven. And as I mentioned, the dome shape was blue, or it was a lot of geometric shapes. It was really awe-inspiring. And then on top of the dome was a crescent moon, and this sort of symbolized, I guess, it represent Islam, or I guess the community. And then on the other side of the building was a minaret. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong, but a tower. It was one of the most visible aspects of the mosque. It wasn't very big, but this could be because the mosque wasn't very big whole. There's like a lot of houses near it, so the center where actually it was really small. And then the tower serves as a traditional symbol. Uh, it's a visual reminder of the presence of Islam, so I thought that was really cool to see. And then I thought really interesting about the mosque I visited. It was blue, and I asked later in my interview why it was colored blue. It was after a famous mosque in Istanbul, which was famous for its six minarets. And so right when I walked, so besides talking about the outside of the mosque, when I walked inside, I came across the ablutions area. It was more like a room with like kind of like a big kiddie pool in it with water in the center. And this was used as a purification ritual for the Muslims. So so right after the ablutions area, right inside was the prayer hall, which is a very big, simple layout of space. It was wide and a big room, and it was only covered with carpets, and there's some chandeliers around. But it was a giant space, and it is called the prayer hall. And the prayer hall is where everybody sits on the floor. And then near the front of the worship space is a structure called the minbar, which is the raised steps from which the imam delivers a sermon at the Friday prayer. Near the minbar stands a roof niche called the mihrab. The mihrab is a semicircular niche in the wall that indicated the Qibla, and it shows the direction Muslims should face while praying. The architecture was really tied into the art because the architecture had so much symbolism. It feels like, as I mentioned, the mosque was not very big because of its location. There's too many houses nearby, so it didn't have a lot of space. So I would say that the art The walls were all plain color. There's no significant sayings or anything or art in there, but I think the architecture is the art and how it's tied into the symbolism, because the art was really geometrical and complex patterns on the wall. So, as I mentioned, the art was basically the significance of the architecture and the symbolism. So, going into my visit, I went during Fajr. So, as I mentioned, I went at 6:15 in the morning, and this is where people or the Muslims they would perform exercise movements as they're saying one of the obligatory prayers, and this included is one of the five daily prayers, five prayers that was mandatory, and it was made up mostly of men. And then some of the lines during performed during Fajr was Allah is the greatest, all praises is due to Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and it guides is to the straight way. And then some of the exercise movements they would do is they put their head on the ground and their hands on the ground and say, "Glory to be to my Lord the Most High." And then I guess clothing, the clothing they wore when I arrived, it was mostly just casual attire. Most of their bodies were covered up because they were wearing long sleeves and jeans, and then the imam was wearing kind of like a white robe. And so that was kind of cool. And then there wasn't really any music. It was the imam led the prayer, and then the people behind would repeat. The Muslims behind would repeat. They're all standing in a line, and they do the same movements and recite the same thing as the imam. And then going into my experience when I first walked into the mosque, as I mentioned, the ablution area. So this is where people, the Muslims, they, right before they went into the prayer hall, they would wash their hands, face, elbows, feet, ankles, 3 times, I think. I don't know. It was I later learned that wasn't really like it was called wudu, and it wasn't really mandatory. It was mandatory, but it didn't have to be as simple or like a guideline to doing it. Like you had to do this and this. It's kind of like most of them would just wash their face off, and then before they entered the prayer hall, they would take off their shoes, and then some would take off their socks too. But it was only just their shoes. They put it in like a shelf inside the mosque, and you could either cover it, either put it in a shelf or cover it with a bag and put it on a shelf. So that was really cool to see. And then I guess the site is really the room is really lit up, or the lighting was really good in the room, so that was cool to see. And then going into my summary, or actually on my experience, I sat in the back. It was honestly really cool to see. Everybody was really nice to me. I was happy they were really accepting because after learning about all the hate crimes, like they were still really nice people to me, even though I'm not a Muslim. So they allowed me to watch. I would sit in the back, my arms crossed, my shoes off. So it was really cool to see. And then going into my interview, I met with someone named Assad. He goes to a community college, I think, and he's a computer science major. He's Muslim. He's around 21 years old. And I went into he's very nice. I said hi, and he asked me some questions about my faith and stuff like that. I said, "Oh, I'm Christian." He said, "Okay, that's cool," and stuff like that. I don't know. The people at the mosque, they're really respectful of other people's religions, and so I asked him a couple questions like, "What are some of their major beliefs?" And then he said that they only believe in one God. They believe in no God but Allah and Muhammad. And I went into what kind of prayers that Muslims would practice. So they pray five times a day. It's called Fajr, Dur, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. And then he said that these prayers have a specific time, and the mosque will usually give out randomly. And so they usually change every day, or the time is changed every day. And then I asked him if I asked him if it was alright to talk about the Bible and stuff. He said, "Yeah, that's fine." So we talked. I asked him if he believed in the Bible and Torah. He said that they believe in some stuff of the Bible, they believe in some stuff of the Bible and the Torah, but they think that the Quran is the last true book. And then I asked him how men and women are treated in Islam and here. And then he said that Islam was one of the first religions to give women the most freedom. And I asked him what kind of attire is appropriate going into a mosque. He said that anything that is modest and covering the body. He said that even women, they don't have to wear covering. They don't have to cover their head, but they think they really respect it if you do. And then I asked him if all Muslims spoke the same language. He told me that no, it depends on where they're from. However, he said the Quran is written in Arabic, but there are many translations, so depending on where you're from, the language could be different. And I asked him if he enjoyed being a Muslim. He said that he really enjoyed it, and he loves the religion because it promotes peace, nothing else. And he said that the Quran really proves that there's some things in his religion that are true. And I asked him, if you're not Muslim, can you still go to heaven? He said he believes that even if you're not Muslim, if you do good, you will go to heaven. So overall, this experience going to mosque was really cool. I really liked the people there. They're super nice. I was really nervous in the beginning because I'm not of that faith, and I was walking in. Well, I communicated the other day. I was going in, so it was really awkward. But the imam and some of the people greeted me and said hi to me, so that was really nice. And then personal interactions. The service wasn't really a service. As I said, it was Fajr, so it was the prayer time. So it wasn't really a service, but there's no readings. It was more of a prayer followed by exercise movements you had to perform during the prayer. And it was really cool going to this location. I enjoyed it a lot, especially the interview, and the people there were really nice. And I asked them how they treated other people, and they said that Muslims, they promote very friendly relations between Muslims and non-Muslims. I felt really bad because of the imam who told me after, when I was trying to film on location, about the hate crimes that was toward them. So other than that, I had really enjoyed this experience. It was very cool. The architecture, the people there, just the overall atmosphere was really nice. They seemed like a community, which I really enjoyed, and they were very nice people. So other than that, it was very cool. Thank you.